Hello and welcome everybody to the Tournament Center. I am Paul Chion, joined here by member of Team Catharsis, Pierre Dagen. I think I almost got it. And we are going to be doing a deck tech for a deck that's, near and dear to my heart, one of my favorite archetypes. We're going to be covering some blue-white control, old school counters, removal, everything. But before we get into this, I heard that you've been testing this format for a while. How did your testing process go for this tournament?
Yeah, it was a Modern Pro Tour. Mm-hmm. We don't have much of those. And I decided that Modern lets you play the deck you like. Mm-hmm. A lot. Like, if you play the deck well, you can play it, basically.
Right.
And I love playing blue-white control. 3 months ago,
smart man,
I decided to play that. Mm-hmm. And I created an account on MTGO.
Okay.
Because I wanted to be able to play a lot, even after work, late at night, which MTGO is great for. And I tried to play one league each day for the last 3 months. Well, obviously I didn't actually play one league each day.
It's a good goal though, right?
But I think I played like 60 leagues, something like this. Which
60 leagues.
Still like 300 matches.
Okay.
I did kind of well. I like the deck. I improved both the way I played and the list, I think, over time. And when the Pro Tour came, I knew my deck inside out, and I just wanted to play it.
And I think that's the thing with Modern. You just you pick a deck, master the deck, and you end up doing. You're currently 3-0, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's head straight into the deck here, starting out with our 1-mana spells. We got 4 copies of Serum Visions, 4 copies of Path to Exile, and then a singular copy of Opt and Spell Snare. Tell us a little bit about these cards.
I think Opt is, there are 2 reasons.
Okay.
One, I would like to play 5 Serum Visions, but
sure.
For some reason I cannot.
Yeah.
And I think Opt is the next basing. Also, it helps with Snapcaster Mage being able to play end of turn and have a cantrip with it. Most importantly, I want 10 1-drops or 6 without Path to Exile to play on turn 1. Because I also play Logic Knot, which requires you to delve to counter a spell on turn 2.
Okay.
So I need to have 1 card in my graveyard on turn 2.
That makes a lot of sense.
And those 6 plus 4 fetches in the mana base make 10, which I think improves the deck.
Okay, all right. So those are the 1-drops. Let's move on to the 2-mana cards in the deck. We have 4 copies of Spreading Seas, 2 copies of kind of a newer addition to the control deck, Search for Azcanta and Snapcaster Mage. Tell us about these cards.
Well, Spreading Seas is pretty self-explanatory. You basically want to mana screw your opponent. I mean, I sound very mean when I say that, but that's pretty much the idea.
Turn 2 get you.
Exactly. And one of the best decks in the format, Death Shadow, plays so few lands and so many colors that you can just punish them for their greediness, which I love.
Yeah.
I think Search for Azcanta is a great addition to the deck. It's both card advantage. In the late game, it's actually a win condition. It doesn't kill your opponent, but it basically does that over a long period of time. And even on turn 2, it makes sure you never miss your land drops. So I think it's a powerful card by itself.
Yeah.
And I think Snapcaster Mage is, it's a good card, right?
Yeah, it's just one of the best cards in Modern, so why not just put some numbers copies into the deck. All right, moving on here, we have our Counterspells. And we got a nice little hodgepodge here. We got 1 copy of Negate, 1 Mana Leak, 1 Logic Knot, and 3 copies of Cryptic Command. So why the diversity here in the cheap counter magic?
Well, one of the reasons is it's hard to decide, and even playing a lot, it's still hard to decide.
An honest man, that's good, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure, that's a good answer.
I also think that it's a matter of never drawing 2 of any. You don't want to draw 2 Negate in many matchups because the first one you almost always are able to find a target, the second one not so often. You never want to draw the second Mana Leak, which is by far the worst of the 3. You need it because you want to be able to counter a creature on turn 2. Okay. But in so many matchups, it's a dead card after turn 5 or 6. So you don't want to draw, like against Burn, it's great on turn 2. It's horrible on turn 4.
Makes sense.
Bolt, space 3, okay. Yeah. That's really bad. And Logic Knot is the reverse Mana Leak. It's way worse in the early game. But if I draw it in the late game, it's probably the best counterspell. It's counterspell in the late game, which is a card I like. And Cryptic Command.
Best card ever.
About the best cards.
Yeah, best card ever. Makes sense.
And it works with Snapcaster too.
Okay, yeah, cool. All right, moving on here, we have our Azorius cards, our blue-white cards, all from Return to Ravnica here. We have 2 copies of Detention Sphere, 3 copies of Supreme Verdict, and a Miser's copy of Sphinx's Revelation.
I think those 5 are kind of clear. Supreme Verdict is just a way to not die against creatures. Sphere is really good as a catch-all answer. Like, it's even good against decks like Storm, for example, where you would not expect it. But after sideboard, they try to go empty the warrants, 12 tokens. Yeah, cool. And whereas keeping Wrath of God, Supreme Verdict against Storm would be kind of embarrassing. So it's a really good card, I think. You can also have some tricks with Cryptic Command, Return Sphere. I like the card. Sphinx Revelation I almost did not play it. I think there are other options like Glimmer of Genius. Okay. But in some matchups, that's the reason why you win. Like I think there was on coverage before a matchup between blue-white and Jeskai control, and playing one of this is the reason why you should, if you play correctly, win them game one almost all the time if you play everything right.
So it's the mirror breaker, kind of.
Either this or Ancestral Vision, but you have to play one of those if you want to win against Jeskai. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always nice. This is one of the best top decks in the entire
It feels
deck.
so great. When you,
Right. Draw 5.
Yeah.
All right, moving on here, we have, well, I guess we need a way to win, right? And we have all the Gideons. 2 copies of Gideon of the Trials, 1 copy of Gideon Ally of Zendikar, Gideon Jura, and 1 copy of Jace Architect. So why all of the Gideons?
I mean, it's also a way to not die. It's not only to kill them.
Okay.
But, what I like about all those Planeswalkers is that, yes, they can win games over the long term, but all of them are pretty good in control matchups. I think the 2 Gideon of the Trial, Jace and Jura, are pretty common in those lists.
Right.
I think they're really strong. This is a way to answer both Death Shadow, Tarmogoyf, and Liliana of the Veil, which is very important. And it's a game winner against Burn.
And Ad Nauseam?
Also Ad Nauseam and Mill, if you ever play against that.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got to be
you
ready
just
for the
can't
Mill
die.
matchup, like always.
Yeah,
Nobody
always
wants to
make
lose to Mill.
I lost at least twice against it in Magic Online.
Okay.
Jace is a good card advantage machine
Right.
that also is good against cards that are supposed to beat you, like Lingering Souls, for example, or Young Pyromancer,
Yeah.
where your card advantage machine just stops such a big part of the deck. Against Marduk Pyromancer, for example, Jace is probably the best card in the whole Modern.
That makes a lot of
it's
sense.
really, really powerful.
So playing 1 copy always gets you. And of course, thanks to kind of the new updated rule with the Legends, you can you can have all 3 Gideons on the board at the same time.
I already bashed with 2 in this tournament.
So the dream is 3.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm featured often enough, I swear I will make 3.
We might put you back up here if you can live the dream and get the achievement unlocked with all 3 Gideons.
If I'm bashing with 3, I'm probably winning, so that's the deal.
Fair enough, fair enough. And of course, to finish out the deck, we have our lands. So here we have some of the utility lands. We have, of course, Flooded Strand to get both Prairie Stream, Hallowed Fountain, 4 copies of Celestial Colonnade, and again, slightly newer card, 4 copies of Field of Ruin. How good has this card been?
Well, for me, the best card is Modern is a tie between this and Thoughtseize.
This and Thoughtseize?
I do think it is that good.
Wow.
I think this is the most powerful mana base I ever played, outside maybe of lands in Legacy. It's very consistent. This is both a mana fixer, handles every man land in your opponent, and against so many decks, very early in the game, becomes a Stone Rain. Because they don't play so many basics.
Right.
Except you still have your land.
Yeah, and you have
afterwards-
Path to Exile too, right? So they run out of basics.
Yeah, between Path to Exile, Field of Ruin, and Spreading Seas, you can legitimately lock your opponent out of casting any spell.
So you can just mana screw your opponents out of victories.
I beat an Affinity player earlier.
You mana screwed Affinity?
I mean, I had Stony Silence, Crucible of Worlds, and this, and he couldn't produce any mana in his deck. Like 0 mana.
That is insane.
So yeah, I think this card is extremely powerful,
And so-
it's the reason to play blue-white.
And it's the main reason to play blue-white over something like Jeskai Control,
Yeah,
for
exactly,
example.
but it's a good reason. I think.
Yeah, and then of course finishing out the deck, we have our basics and just the normal stuff. But looks like an awesome deck, and you are kicking butt. Blue-white control, still doing well. Search for Azcanta, newest edition. Really excited to see how far you make it with this deck because blue-white control has just always been the deck that I've loved playing as long as it's playable, and currently looks like it is. So this was blue-white control by Pierre Dagen. Thank you very much here at Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan.